Signalis. Signalis is an old school survival horror game releasing everywhere on October 27th. Today we're taking a look at the Nintendo Switch version to see if it hits the mark. Before we do though, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell. It will be the best thing you do today. Unless of course you check out my new personal channel, A Bit More Jordan, for long video game retrospectives. You won't regret it. Signalis begins as you, a replica, wake up on a crashed spaceship on an icy planet. Like with some survival horror games, this is not a story that shows its hand immediately. All you really need to know is that you are on an off-world mining colony in some sort of neo-communist dystopia, and you're looking for a certain woman who works there. Why? Well, that's not immediately clear, and the story has some very idiosyncratic techniques to tell it, almost in a frustrating way because you never know if you're seeing the past or some kind of illusion, a dream. What's going on? It doesn't matter. And while the story itself is good, that part is also its biggest weakness, since it does handle it in a slightly pretentious way. Not that it's bad, I just found it mildly confusing when it just could have gotten to the point a bit quicker. Mainly because I love the world that's been created here. Who wouldn't want to live in a world of sci-fi totalitarianism? I'd have preferred if they stayed in the here and now rather than zipping about, making you question the reality of it. Never mind though, it is a fine effort and I think you will be intrigued about what's gone on in this derelict mining facility. When you're inside, you'll realize the potential horror that's gone on. The hallways and rooms are littered with faulty replicas, kind of like androids. They're robotic but kind of have consciousness. They are murderous and will kill any non-murderous things in sight, which is mainly you. There are other survivors around, but they seem content to just sit around and pretend everything's not completely on fire. As a survival horror, you do have some things to defend yourself with. You have firearms of various kinds, but ammo is rather low. You don't get many bullets, at least at the start, and it's often best to just run around the monsters when possible, because even when you take them down, later on, they will revive, kind of like the Crimson Heads in Resident Evil Remake. But just like those, you can burn the corpse to make sure they don't get back up again. That is very limited though, so it's best to pick and choose which corpses to burn. I hope that doesn't get taken out of context. Don't clip that. Perhaps in one corridor you'll be passing through frequently, or ones with multiple enemies, take down one to make it a smoother ride next time you come through. This facility is kind of a big maze with multiple floors, as well as plenty of rooms. It's surprising that it makes it still rather focused. That's helped with doors that you will see that you can never unlock, and there's plenty of those, and the map system is good enough to show you which ones need keys, and where there's points of interest in each room like safes or puzzles, and there are a lot of puzzles. I mean, Signalis is basically a puzzle game. Dodging the enemies is just the downtime between doing all the puzzles. It's a puzzle game, and I love it. The developers at Rose Engine did a fantastic job of making great puzzles, one that actually make you think, that make you maybe get out a pen and paper and jot down notes, or practice solving the puzzle. It's great, it's really, really great. They sucked me in good, especially with a first-person perspective that gives the old-school Resi Evil vibe once in a blue moon. This is full-on. It's not once in a blue moon, it's all the time. There's loads of first-person puzzles, whether it be pissing about with an x-ray machine, a fuse box, water drainage levels, safe codes. Signalis has it all. They're well thought out and they are not mind-numbingly simple. You have to think, and there's a great mental stimulant when it clicks as to what you need to do. The game always hints at what you need to do via notes laying about, but it never spells it out for you. Well, except for the drainage level part, because that's enough to make anyone go insane. They knew. If you like puzzles, both big and small, Signalis is a wonderful game in that regard. I felt so good working this stuff out for myself. One of the unique things about Signalis is the radio frequency thing, whereby you can tune into certain signals and it gives you clues, helps out with certain puzzles. It takes a bit of getting used to, since I'm not overall the biggest fan of the menu interface, but it does use it in some pretty cool ways. I don't want to spoil it any more than that. Sadly, it can't be used to tune into any radio stations like in GTA, though I heard communist radio is always a bit crap. They always play MC Hammer and Sickle over and over again. That's a really bad joke. I'm ashamed of that one. I was struggling for jokes, so I had to. Now, this is fairly faithful to the genre, and there's something that's gonna make people feel a little bit queasy. And it ain't anything to do with the robotic body gore. No, it's the inventory, or I should say a lack of it, because our heroine can't carry more than a handful of items at a time. Apparently finding a bag didn't cross her mind. Proper old school. Now, personally, I don't mind old school stuff like this. I think it adds to the game, but I get it. Not everyone can stomach a bit of limitation. Gamers need their quality of life implements to save their precious time. I mean, they've got to post memes on Twitter. Can't waste the time. They need to type about if you can pet the dog or something nonsense. So I think many people will be annoyed at how little you can carry, and even me, as someone who loves a bit of old school, someone who likes to pull out the gumption when I'm playing games, even I was a little bit frustrated because there are a lot of items to pick up, each for different puzzles, but you don't know which one you may need at that specific time. And even when you do know which ones you need, once you've got your weapon, your ammo, your health packs, you've only got a couple of slots left. I mean, forget about taking more than one weapon with you. That ain't happening. You choose one weapon and you stick with it until you run out of bullets, and you go back and change it for another one. But Signalis also replicates the box system from old school Resi, meaning you can keep everything there, but it does mean backtracking, but to different boxes. And each area that they're in, it's not massive or anything, you'll only be a few corridors away from one. It's not a big deal for me, but I can imagine some people will cry about it online. The overall presentation is excellent, by the way. From the old school visuals, the great lighting, the filters, the effects, it's totally on point. It's the perfect atmosphere for a survival horror game. Again, the 3D perspective puzzles are just a total treat to anyone with just an ounce of nostalgia. They look great, despite being made by two people. This game is made by two people, essentially. Aside from the music, two people made this game, and I find that, frankly, unbelievable. I'm pleased to say that Signalis worked a treat in terms of performance, and there was no jankiness whatsoever. A very professional, smooth package, not something you can always say for indie games these days, especially 3D ones. Now, Signalis is going to be available digitally for $20 on the US eShop, 16 quid in the UK. If you need some eShop credits, check out SwitchWatch.net. We've got some there for you. Not sure about other consoles, but I believe it's on Xbox Game Pass as well. It's also available physically. In the West, this is coming physically next year. God knows why it'll take that long, but don't worry, Japan is on the ball with an early physical version that has English, and even has some striking red artwork which is different to the Western one. I love it. If you want to get this early, get it for your collection, check the link in the description, and you can also get 5% off with our discount code SWTV5. That will expire at the end of the year, so if you're in the future, do yourself a favor, subscribe, hit that bell, and check out my weekly video series every Monday for the latest discount codes. Thank you for your support. We really, really appreciate it. Overall, Signalis is a really great game. I absolutely love the aesthetic it's got going for it. I really enjoyed the story despite the slight pretentiousness about it, and the puzzles are just excellent. Thought-provoking but not frustrating. I have very, very little issue with Signalis. The major one for most, but lesser for me, is the low amount of inventory space, and I do think some will find the combat system a little mild. It's a bit repetitious, but then again, it's best just to run away from everything anyways. Despite that, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Signalis and even exceeded my expectation. I was expecting like a decent time, like a 7 out of 10, but not something as professionally put out as this. I wasn't expecting the amount of thought put into the puzzles, nor the fact that the game ran without any issue or noticeable glitches or jank. An 8.5 out of 10. I was really impressed. Alright, many thanks for watching. If you want to purchase this, check the links below. You can support us at the same time. Thank you so much to everyone who does so. If you enjoyed this review, why not check out some more? And also, every Monday I make a video about all the physical Switch releases, and we have digital bargains every Sunday as well. Thanks to our executive producers, here they are. And you, you watching right now, if you watched all the way through, you're a massive legend, because the longer you watch, the more YouTube shows us to new people. If you did, I want to know who you are. So, if you're a legend, leave me a hammer emoji in the comments just because I mentioned MC Hammer, and I can't believe I made that joke connecting MC Hammer with communism. Yeah, anyways, take care.